This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I am Anthony Mormino, and not that this is the beat of a new drum, but Parks is canceled. At least they've canceled at 9:01 versus 9:37. So my friend and colleague over here, Seth Merrill, will have a little Beulah Central or Ohio action for you a little bit later on. I will be in my selections will be from sunny Turf Paradise, which I told you, Seth, I've been there. I have attended racing. The thing that most surprised me at Turf Paradise, which is a lovely racetrack, I love their paddock and everything, but now they do run mostly like November 1 to like Memorial Day for live action. But even in May, it gets hot. They had outside metal bleacher seats, which I never thought really in the greater Phoenix area was the most reasonable thing to have metal outdoor seats. I thought maybe they should borrow some of the ones from Saratoga on the stretch, the old wooden ones. But it's a lovely racetrack, and I mean it's a very enjoyable day of racing. And the paddock is terrific for interrelations with the people. I mean, to see the horses, etc. It was sort of like the old Hollywood Park one, which was really between the grandstand and the track. But the problem with the Hollywood Park one, Hollywood Park was like Aqueduct, which was down and away and hidden. The Aqueduct one makes sense because they run during the inclement weather. But at Hollywood Park, it never made sense to be. And then about 25 years ago, they changed it, moved it out back, and made it more fan-friendly. And now, of course, there'll be the opposite of fan-friendly. Only one more weekend to go, Seth, and these races now, especially the one on Saturday, the Cash Call Futurity, which has really been, I mean, a race that I have been dialed into since day one. I can remember when they first ran the race, Seth, it was like throwing money at owners. They had never seen anything like it. They ran $1 million race for juveniles the year before the Breeders' Cup at the Hollywood Futurity. And then Mr. Redham came up with the money for the Cash Call. And I would say for the first 10 years of it, it was the premier juvenile race of the year, and hardly anyone ever saw it. Obviously, when they went to the cushion track, it changed up a little bit. But going out the door, like they say, last one out, turn off the lights. Shared Belief, at least in my opinion, brought the curtain down on the Cash Call Futurity in brilliant fashion.
Yeah, and I will be interested to see now, because already I've picked up for Equity early this morning. I was going out and looking, and there was already some Eclipse buzz. And I said last week, it's hard for me to pull the trigger on New Year's Day off the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I don't think that was a championship-type record. I was looking at Honor Code. We talked a little bit about that. I said, well, if voters say just what's the best horse, but, yeah, the Remsen are grade 2. They might shy away from that.
Shared Belief is going to win the best horse argument,
but that
too.
best horse, yeah, exactly. So they go
99
best horse
and
and wind it up with a grade 1 win. So Shared Belief, I think, is going to take a lot of attention, and I will be interested to see how the voting shakes out, because again, a lot of voters, I think, shut down after the Breeders' Cup, but I think Shared Belief, to me now, Shared Belief probably is the eclipse. If I was voting, Shared Belief would be the winner.
And I think, Seth, what you're going to see here, and this is what I believe, is that you're going to see not only the importance of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, because I do think the two juvenile races, because of the nature that Honor Code, Seth, correct me if I'm wrong, is going to have a 3-race campaign. Shared Belief, I know, is having a 3-race campaign. It's not like having Game On Dude, who put in a solid year and probably will get usurped for the older male champion. It's really so Eclipse Award driven, the Breeders' Cup races. I think what we're going to see here, this is what I believe, is I think New Year's Day is going to win by a comfortable margin because of the nature of the block of voters. Not only that they turn it off, but they're just not into. I've seen so many races at Hollywood Park and Santa Anita. I always said, when does the Malibu count for a championship? You don't get credit for it the next year, and no one ever gets credit for the year it's actually run. So I'll be interested, but I'm still thinking. Off the top of my head, Seth, I'm seeing 153 votes for New Year's Day and about 70 votes for Shared Belief.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it'll be close because, like I said, there's already some buzz going, but I'm not quite sure about that. It may cut.
The buzz from the 365-day-a-year people. I'll give you a great example. 1994, almost all of us thought that Afternoon's Delight was the best 2-year-old. I mean, his Hollywood Futurity, Seth, I got to tell you, was even more demonstratively impressive than Shared Belief, and he couldn't get a whisper. I mean, it's going to be a good case study this year, but I do agree with Seth. I think as much as I like to tease about honor code, the grade 2 and the Beyer speed figure and all of that, boy, I'll tell you, you're setting aside a lot of stuff if you just say that he's the best 2-year-old because, well, first off, he didn't win a grade 1. He ran an 84 to win a grade 2. But that being said, Shared Belief, if nothing else, put in the best 2-year-old performance of the year. I mean, that to me, I think, is unquestionable. Of course, I'm the guy that thought Blind Luck put in the greatest 2-year-old, 2-turn performance of a decade. And what did get her? Not a 2-year-old championship. So I'm hesitant, but I do agree with you. I think Shared Belief, for folks who watch racing daily, is the best 2-year-old because I'll tell you what, not only that, Seth, not only the fact I think he got a 99 in the Hollywood preview, and I'm not a Beyer speed figure guy, and then he got a 106 in the Hollywood Futurity. The way he ran on Saturday in his 3rd career start, and yes, he's an offspring of Candy Ride, so that's 2 thumbs up for me. That was greatness in a 2-year-old. I'll say that much. I don't know what it's going to be down the road. Seth, we've made the argument going back. As long as we've worked together, we had the discussion. We were coming to an era, would it be 2 or 3 races before the Kentucky Derby, and it's no contest. It's 2 races. And it looks like they're thinking about only 2 races before the Kentucky Derby. And remember this, he has 0 points. Now, my rule of thumb with the Kentucky Derby is in Churchill Downs, it's their race. They can make any of the rules. But when you put in the best race as a juvenile and you have nothing, not so good.
The Hollywood Futurity isn't a points race?
0.
Is it really?
They took it away.
But they haven't ruled out 3 races, but they're leaning towards 2, certainly.
And I got to say, Seth, I've said this is going back 25 years for the Hollywood Futurity. They've run basically in the middle of December throughout its history. And with the changing of training patterns, if you run on December 15th, let's say, you really seem like the type of horse who's only going to have 2. Now, if you run on November 1st in the Breeders' Cup and they put you away, then I can see that late January race, the late February or early March race, and then the April race. But the horses that run on December 15th, I definitely see them as 2-race maximum because of how much time they want between races.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw also on Saturday, Here the Ghost came back with his 2nd start off of the layoff. And I know it was another runner-up position, but also talking about Jerry Hollendorfer. And if it's a building pattern, etc. I mean, trust me, the native diver isn't the high watermark for the winter campaign for Here the Ghost, because I have to think that they're looking forward to getting over to Santa Anita and the Strube Series, which is obviously a mere shadow of its former greatness. But Here the Ghost for Jerry Hollendorfer. He's part owner in Shared Belief, but a very, very, very nice, a brilliant performance, really, Seth, on multiple fronts in only his 3rd career start. Because if I had to walk away from one thing, set aside the 106, set aside the 3 for 3, he was professional. He was as professional as Tappet Rich is just a loony bin. And I said this before, I said this at our Breeders' Cup seminar, Seth. Go look at his maiden special weight debut, the 2-turn race at Santa Anita. You knew something was up right then, and boy, he went loony in the cash call futurity, but on the opposite end of the spectrum was Shared Belief, who was dynamic, winning the final cash call futurity.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday. My partner Steve Bick said the same thing about professional. Candy Boy comes up And
Upside of him, rushed
you know,
up
with
into-
horses on either side, sometimes
Who, by the way,
that
was the
prompts
candy ride
horses.
that I liked at 26-1.
Well, and I mentioned yesterday, we had Jeremy Plonk on last Wednesday, who gave out some 2-year-old. This was before the cash call futurity had been drawn. And he mentioned 3 2-year-olds that he thought were kind of interesting that people should keep their eyes on. One of them was Candy Boy, who
Yeah,
runs
he was
second at
good.
26-1.
A really, quirky race put in by him, and the other horse was great on Saturday. So you got beat by a horse who was brilliant. So I'm not. I think it's John Sadler, right?
Yeah.
Candy Boy. So it's one of those ones where I think the trainer walks away going, I'm not completely upset by being runner-up to a good horse in a big-time performance, and maybe that middle move, which even Vic Stauffer, you could just tell in his voice, it was so odd to make such a rush up the backstretch. I got to tell you, it's one of those situations where watching races in real time as a trip handicapper, I begin to follow, well, he's got to pack it in, right? So the fact that he continued on and finished second, I was like, you know what? There's a lot of room there for him, too. This was, the better horse won the race clearly, but, Candy Boy did well also, but, Shared Belief is ahead of him right now. Maybe he'll stay ahead
And
of
the
him.
one that will be worth watching for the next couple of races, Will Tappet Rich proved to validate that career debut.
And Baffert has, and this is one of the things that Baffert has really talked about, like that we, the handicappers, like me off of his maiden debut, like, he's never really addressed, like, he's always been nonchalant about it, like, oh, we're okay, we're going forward. Going forward, this horse seems to have a world of talent, yet can't get around the racetrack.
Yeah.
He bolt on the first turn. So for me, I mean, he's not in the mix for me. I mean, I can't get.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a head case. And I was saying to Jeff yesterday, I
Was he
wonder
have
if they'll
2
step
races?
back into a non-winners at 1 and just get the head screwed on right.
And you also think with Baffert, he's got New Year's Day, so that'll work itself out. But the two offspring of Candy Rides that ran 1-2 in Southern California, they to me, I mean, it's clear that Shared Belief is down the road. But I like Candy Boy. I thought that was obviously a very good effort. Better than 25-1, ran better than odds, and he ran against a good horse. So I do think going out the door, as was the case for about the first 10 runnings, was an excellent barometer for 3-year-old success after a 2-year-old season as we bring the curtain down on the cash call futurity. And we're not going to do horses and courses next week, Seth, because it's going to be a light holiday time of year. And unfortunately, the curtain is coming down on Sunday next. It's hard to believe we're in the final week, and I don't think they're running until Friday.
Yeah, and there's a
three
Pick 6 carryover.
There's
and
3
not running
more
until Friday.
cards at Hollywood Park.
And the
ladies
futurity was the
gentlemen.
last grade one that'll be
Yeah.
run there. I mean, we're winding down. There's a lot of memories out there. My
Yeah.
partner, Loose on the Lead, Steve Vick, has had a lot on his radio show. I've linked to a bunch of stories. They're still up on Equidaily. Daily Racing Form did kind of a
It's-
whole series. The New York Times had something. The
Capital's putting something together this week.
and I've had a couple on Racing Across America as well.
It's-
But I would say if people pop over to that link to the New York Times story that I have, there's a nice video of opening day at Hollywood Park that's a lot of fun to look at. One of the Racing Forum articles has a nice list of other tracks that have disappeared
Yeah.
over the past 100 years or so.
Sure.
They did not mention Green Mountain, though. That bothered me a little
Yeah,
bit.
it bothered
but,
me too.
But there was a few nice articles talking about the major races there. And last week I showed a couple, and I'll continue this week on Racing Across America. Pulled some races, some notable races from Hollywood. And as I was searching on Friday, I showed the Gold Cup for Affirmed, which
one?
was phenomenal. Absolutely, I mean, pushed the entire way. And
I'll
just,
tell you something funny about very off the beat path for that Gold Cup. When Affirmed won the Gold Cup, which was late June '79. Well, I mean, it was just a spectacular effort, big weight. I was never a big Affirmed
132.
guy, but that was
pushed
just
the whole way.
titanic effort. But I always also remember at the Hollywood Futurity talking about how things change. That race, the 1979 Affirms Hollywood Gold Cup, when it was run, became the largest purse in the United States. You could never guess what race finally got surpassed, ever, to show you how racing changes. For almost 10 years, I think it was 10 years, the 1969 Arlington, Washington Futurity was the richest race. Somewhere, like if you look at old books, no race in the 70s superseded like 4 runnings of the Arlington, Washington Futurity.
And you mentioned,
in
it
the
for
late
people who aren't
60s.
familiar with that, you mentioned the Hollywood Futurity early on being a big
Oh.
money race. So it's a couple of futurities.
Must
If
be.
people don't realize it, the futurities were the big money races for years and years because breeders paid in. You paid along
When
the
she was
way,
pregnant.
which built up the
Yeah.
purse. And that's why on the quarter horse side, they have that All-American Futurity, which is a crazy big money race.
But if you
the
watch,
Futurities have that.
I think it was the 1969 Washington Futurity. Almost was like no race in the 70s. Think about this: the Jockey Club Gold Cup, the Kentucky Derby, but it was a firm that was just a magnificent, just absolutely.
But then I was
great
going to say, so I
about.
showed that on Friday, but on Thursday when I
What'd
was
you get?
starting to, I was looking, and I'd completely forgotten about this, but pulled up on YouTube. I'd forgotten that Hollywood Park had harness races, and so I pulled up Niatros with a world record out there. I'd forgotten completely about that, though.
And
I saw the videos.
I'll tell you one thing. Now, the end wasn't as pretty, but when I was in Southern California and in my young adulthood after I went back there, Hollywood Park really was a beautiful place to go. Now, it wasn't as regal as Santa Anita, but heck, you got the San Gabriel Mountains. But Hollywood Park was, it wasn't like the disparity between Belmont and Aqueduct. It was a nice place to go. I mean, you come in the parking lot, you see the Lakers building the old Great Western Forum. It was beautiful inside there, but the last 10, 15 years was sort of all downhill.
Both of those videos, the Affirmed video, they showed the apron jammed, and the Niatros video, as he announces the three-quarters time, you hear the crowd in the background. I mean, clearly a large crowd, and as he comes to the wire and gets the world record, you again hear the crowd, so obviously...
Now, I don't want to say, if it's going to be a surprise, you can, you don't have to say.
I haven't decided yet. I haven't
Okay.
decided what else to look at yet. You can give me some suggestions if you have some good ideas.
The funny thing, I mean, it's the one thing I remember about Hollywood Park, especially, and remembering that this fall meet that's the end here, they didn't have such a thing until I was a freshman at USC. So for me, it was normalcy. I mean, to me, it was like, well, they always have racing in November at Hollywood Park, but that was the first year. But that spring summer meet, I've said it before, Seth, the $1 million video would be an off racetrack at Hollywood Park spring summer meet. I've seen him in the November meet plenty of times, but I've never seen a rainy day spring summer in Southern California, because from the middle of April until the middle of July, it is pristine in Southern California.
All right, we'll shift to the handicapping portion. And again, Parks is canceled for this afternoon, so I'm going to take a quick look at Beulah while Anthony does Turf Paradise. But I have the Parks Twitter feed here, and woe is Parks. Here are the last, 5 tweets. Today's latest tweet, live racing for today, Monday, December 16th, has been canceled. The tweet right before that, live racing is canceled today, Sunday, December 15th. Due to impending weather, live racing is canceled for Saturday, December 14th. Due to the impending snow, live racing has been canceled Tuesday, December 10th.
Yep.
Live racing has been canceled for today, Monday, December 9th. They have been hammered the last
I
week.
think my Monday, you almost think it's rough. I mean, it's rough. But you know what? They also do run 365 days. They got plenty of makeup days.
All right, we'll shift our attention and take a look at Turf Paradise 4 this afternoon. The opener is a maiden optional claiming event, $30,000. The tags, the age, 2-year-olds, and they're going 6 furlongs.
This is an interesting condition that I've seen pop up around the United States, and I just don't have a feel for this one coming to New York, because these are maiden optional claimings, and the 5 and the 7 are in for the tag. The other 5 are maiden special weights. And obviously it's about field size, which I am completely understandable, because you're presuming that this was a maiden special weight, you'd have a field of 5. But you see them when you look at a couple other racetracks. Usually the abbreviation after the race in the PPs will come back MOC, maiden optional claiming, and then the price tag, which is very foreign to those of us who have looked at New York for the better part of 35 years. So we kick it off 2, 4, 6. My selections in this race, and the 2 is next up, and it's a first-time starter. As I looked at this race, and Turf Paradise, a very, very nice racetrack to visit because the weather is usually outstanding. We get a first-time starter who is 9-2 on the morning line, and I've made references to Beulah, which Seth will have coming for you a little bit later. 9-2 on the morning line. If this horse is bet strongly, the very legitimate racetrack question of they bet or they said, and you wonder who they are, I entrust it at these small venues, especially with first-time starters. So this horse is 9-2, and he is live on the board. I know I'm usually atypical to that belief, and I want my horse to be dead on the board. Not the case in these type of situations. I have a firster, Turf Paradise, 92 on the morning line. If they go to next up, I think we're sitting on a live runner, and I'll also add this. They usually run to it. These are solid 5 furlong workouts for the debut, the offspring of First Samurai. Number 2, my top pick next up. For a second, 2 over. Number 4, J.P. Rocker, making the 3rd career start. Now, making a leap of faith, this offspring of Rocky Bar never has run in a maiden race, debuted against winners, then the 2nd career start after the 2nd place finish, ran in a stakes race, and was runner-up once again. I'm not saying how the good people who bet Turf Paradise are going to bet, but I do find it impossible to believe that this horse is going to be anywhere near 5-2. And I mean, this horse has run strong buyer speed figures. I mean, this horse has got to be, folks, 2-5. Forget 5-2. Going for the 3rd career start after being runner-up against winners in the first 2. For 3rd, number 6, shooting it in the bush, the 2nd career start after a runner-up position from the rail in the 2-1 debut. The opener could be surrounded by a short price trifecta, folks, but the board is going to be very intriguing for yours truly. 2-4-6 in the opener from Turf Paradise.
Second race today at Turf Paradise, a plain vanilla claimer, $6,200, $50 tags, 3-year-olds, and they are on the turf at 7.5.
And one of the things I'll say, and I know that I rail the 7.5 furlong distance at a Gulfstream Park, but at Turf Paradise, where they run about 7.5 furlongs, I feel as if it's a little more fair race set up with the run into the first turn. 7, 3, and 10. The 11 isn't also eligible in here. And Bubba Fizz gets my top pick for an offspring of Sun River, a very abbreviated stallion career for that good turf runner. Now, we haven't hit the board in 3 starts on the turf, but I do like the dirt sprint races of late, where this horse has shown far more speed than has been seen in the abbreviated turf career, and I'm hoping that that transfers over, that usually turf horses, you know, one of the reasons they go to the turf is they can't keep up on the dirt, but this horse seems to be the opposite of that, where the horse has shown, of late at least, very good early speed in dirt sprints. And if we can add that to the pedigree of being by Sun River, I think, I know we're 0-0-0 for 3 lifetime, but number 7, Bubba Fizz, gets my top pick. For second, number 5, Ladies Love Outlaws, scheduled to make the first start since August 17th. One previous start on the turf, that was going about a mile at the fairgrounds, and under Mark Guidry was the beaten favorite at 8-5 when first adding blinkers for this offspring 11-drop kid, who I am relieved to see get back to the turf this afternoon, because you have King Mambo on top and Langfear on bottom, middle distance turf, screaming out, at least to me. And for third, on the outside, number 10, Bro Derek, 7-3-10 in the second.
Third race today at Turf Paradise, a calendar condition claimer, $3,000 tags. These are 3-year-olds and up. They'll go 5.5.
Yes, and they're non-winners in 6 months. 5-4-2, ladies and gentlemen. Bryant gets my top pick. Scott Stevens on board. This runner, who is 2 for 6, lifetime at Turf Paradise. This will be the 3rd start off of a changing of the barn. I expect to see a marked improvement off of the back-to-back 5th place finishes. For second, number 4, Drunk Dial, making the 2nd start since October 1. I like the debut effort at Turf Paradise. I think it was a little, I won't say practice, but warm-up as the well-beaten 1-2 favorite. And I've said this before, as much as I enjoy when short-price horses get beat, when they come back at a reasonably same level, same racing strip also helps. You know, something made this horse 1-2. It didn't work out on that afternoon, but I'm the very forgiving kind when it comes to horse racing. For third, number 2, Part-Timer, scheduled to make the first start since running at Turf Paradise in the spring to a runner-up position on April 30th. Has already 6 W's on this racing circuit. 5-4-2 in the 3rd from Turf Paradise.
Race number 4 from Turf Paradise this afternoon. Optional claiming event, $20,000. Tags, non-winners of 2 other than the condition. 3-year-olds and up, 5.5 furlongs.
7 in here, and the 7 is my top pick. 7-2-5, ladies and gentlemen, and the 7 goes out second time after a 12-5 claim. 3 for 4 lifetime. Hit the board in the other start at Turf Paradise. I'd be happy to sign up for 9-2, starting from the outside with a horse who has very nice tactical speed. For second, number 2, Arctic Fire. Very, very sharp of late. Hope we keep the ball rolling. Never out of the exact at Turf Paradise in 4 previous starts. 2-2, win in place. And for third, 2-1 on the board, which somewhat surprised me as the favorite against my exacta picks, most especially. Number 5, Choo Choo Charlie. Only been off the board once. That was the career debut when this horse was bet down to 2-1 in the debut. Caught a sloppy sealed racetrack in Minnesota at Canterbury. Has had 3 most recent starts at Turf Paradise, off 2 wins and a second, and more importantly, most recently made every poll a winning one as the 9-5 favorite to win by nearly 6. That was in restricted claiming races after previously winning 2 L's at Turf Paradise. 7-2-5 in a very competitive fourth.
Race number 5 at Turf Paradise this afternoon. It is a claiming event. Again, plain vanilla at the $6,250 level. 3-year-olds and up, they're on the turf. Again, about 7.5.
And the 11 and 12 are also eligible. Our full field of 10 racing this distance at Turf Paradise. And 7, 5, and 10 are my selections. And Horizon Bound gets my top pick, an offspring of one of my favorite quiet stallions, and I've been talking about him for 3+ years. That is Bernstein, a very, very versatile stallion, son of Stormcat. We get to the turf this afternoon. This horse is 1 for 4 lifetime on the turf. That was 2 races back, scoring the victory in a claiming race at Turf Paradise. Followed that up with a big jump up and ran well under Scott Stevens. Now we get a new jock this afternoon on my top pick, number 7, Horizon Bound. For a second, number 5, Scott Stevens takes this mount, a good effort when losing almost all chance early, going a mile. For a third, number 10, which is on the outside here, African Gray. So it's 7, 5, 10 in the fifth.
All right, we'll take our break. When we come back, we'll continue our look at Turf Paradise. A little later on, Beulah. Stay tuned. I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report for this Monday morning. Seth Merrill and Anthony Mormino. If you haven't been tuned in earlier, Parks is canceled for this afternoon. We're looking at Turf Paradise and Beulah, so we'll return to Turf and complete their card. The sixth race this afternoon, a maiden claimer at the $5,000 level. These are 2-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs.
And Seth, I'm racing across America. Michael Chamberlain on today? Or is he a Tuesday
No, tomorrow.
slot guy?
Tomorrow,
All right.
tomorrow.
Could have called and helped me out a little bit here this morning. 4-5-1, ladies and gentlemen. Puckaberry gets my top pick in making the third career start. And in a running line off of the first 2 career starts that I enjoy, and I don't think you get hurt at the window, which is a nice debut, perhaps a better than odds performance in the type that I truly fancy, which is you're competitive for the first 2/3 of the race and then just fatigue and deceleration, so the final running position, beaten legs, looks bad, but I like it. Came back in the second start, drew the rail, ran less well, but I like what I saw in the debut. We draw a better post position in the third career start. Number 4, Puckaberry is my top pick. For a second, right next door in the starting gate, number 5, Fast Maggie. Mike Chambers sends out this runner. This horse showed nothing in the debut on September 6th, but since going to Phoenix has gone much better, has already lost at 7-10 and 8-5. We have him for runner-up. For a third, the rail, number 1, Silver and Sassy, making the 10th career start as the veteran in the group, 4-5-1.
Seventh race today is a conditional claiming event, $3,500 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime the condition, 3-year-olds and up, 5.5 furlongs.
7, 2, and 6 for me, and number 7 is Fly Zone, getting my top pick, going against winners for the 4th time, and after the first time, this horse got a little freshening, came back 3+ months later, so maybe first time versus winners, something went a little bit wrong, but since then, 2 strong efforts versus winners, a third and a second. For second, number 2, Spiteful Ways, an offspring of Spicetown, which to me has been one of the great underreported stories this year of this stallion, and maybe I think it's underreported because I didn't think much was going to come out of him, but the prodigious year Spicetown has had as a stallion. Well, this offspring of Spicetown gets blinkers added this afternoon. This horse who has shown good enough speed early in races, and an old-time angle that I like is when they stretch a horse out on the turf and then come back to sprinting, which is the case with number 2, Spiteful Ways. For third, number 6, Mansion Mayhem. Perhaps a better-than-looks most recent effort, which follows a good effort before that at 25-1 and 10-1. I know those are the first 2 starts at Turf Paradise, and we haven't hit the board, but I thought both of them were positive in their own way. 7, 2, 6.
8th race at Turf Paradise this afternoon is an allowance non-winners of 1 other than. These are 3-year-olds and up, back to the grass, back to 7.5 furlongs.
And obviously, the starting gate is stuck at Turf Paradise. Only kidding, the 11 is the also eligible. 6, 5, and 10, ladies and gentlemen. Sir Searsucker. Well, maybe it's warm enough in Phoenix to wear Searsucker, but first off, the 12-5 claim for a horse who is in razor sharp form. This horse began the career in Southern California, and then has moved over to Turf Paradise and scored a victory from the parking lot at Turf Paradise, going 7.5 under Scott Stevens in a non-winners of 2. For a second, right next door in the starting gate, number 5, Ivory Fudge. This was a $4,000, what appears to be sharp claim. Off of that claim, has hit the board in 2 efforts, turfing at Turf Paradise. And for third, the outside horse. And I'm going to get a look-see to how tough the outside post position here for number 10, Get Moving. And it's not so much that the outside post bothers me completely, but this horse shows that he wants to be on the engine, and we'll see if this offspring of Redatory, who was a nice middle-distance turf Southern California runner a couple years ago, owned by the Earnhardts, which we're familiar with their blue and yellow silks with the Longhorn on it, obviously out at Turf Paradise this afternoon, 6, 5, 10.
All right, we will take our next break when we return.
Well,
There's one more?
I'll get 9 today.
Oh, I thought we did 9
I could be
already.
very, I could be very good.
I made it. I made
It's
a
my-
check. I made a check mark next to 9 already, and thought we'd done that. But I was jumping the gun.
I realized I went over at
Yeah.
Gulfstream Park the other day, but I got hope in Phoenix.
Yeah, you want them all. The 9th today at Turf Paradise. Conditional claimer, $3,500 tags. Non-winners of 3 lifetime. They will go 5 furlongs.
5, 10, and 2, ladies and gentlemen. Number 5 is Conventional, my top pick, who is 8-1 on the morning line, and most recently in the middle of September, breaking from the rail, a good runner-up position. Now, that was in the middle of September, so we've had nearly 3 months off for the comeback race. For second, number 10 on the outside, Shenzhou going out for Jeff Betts, a good effort, 2 races back, and then I think a deceptively better than final running position in the most recent effort when beaten as the even money favorite. And for third, number 2, One Last Affair. I don't like the sound of that. Exits a quarter horse race. I don't think I've ever said that on my 15 plus years of doing the Handicappers Report. 5, 10, and 2 in the 9th and final from Turf Paradise.
That wraps up Turf Paradise for this afternoon. We'll take our next break. When we come back, Beulah Park. Stay tuned.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicappers Report. Alongside Seth Merrill, I am Anthony Mormino. Parks has canceled racing once again. We're turning our attention to Central Ohio, Beulah Park in the opener. Starter allowance racing the 2-turn dirt mile.
I have it 7, 4, 2, and 6. The number 7 is I'm Back. Just a horse that seems to be in some pretty good form right now. My top 2, I was kind of going between the 2, the 7 and the 4. But I went to I'm Back. You have a 32% jockey. You have a 26% trainer. So high percentage connections with a horse that's in some pretty good form right now, particularly in good form since arriving at Beulah from Indiana earlier this fall. So I'm Back. Good form, good connections. Second spot, as I say, though, I could have gone either way. I come from behind in the second spot. This is a horse that's in very good form right now, also coming off a couple of wins, both right here at Beulah. And, in fact, this is a horse that seems to like Beulah very much with 3 wins and 5 starts over the track. So the top 2 are kind of interchangeable. Both seem to be in some pretty good form and like the track. Third spot, I went with the number 2, Made the Cut. The last couple of starts, well, 2 starts back wasn't bad. Last time the buyer was maybe a little bit light, the finishing position not as good as you would like, but you go to the 3 starts just before that, particularly go 3 starts back. That was the end of September, but a nice 62 buyer figure, a nice gutsy nose win that day. So I'm hoping maybe for a little rebound to what we've seen just prior to recently. So in the opener, 7, 4, 2, and 6.
Second half of the early daily double, 3-year-olds and up. Maiden claimers in for $3,500. They will also race the 2-turn mile. 2, 9, 1, and 4. The number 2 is Tune the Cello.
I just think this horse might appreciate the return to Beulah Park. This is a horse that in
Wouldn't
two
we
starts,
all?
yeah, getting back to Beulah. But I think when you're at this level, you do appreciate
Yeah.
the return to Beulah. When you're at a certain level, you're looking towards Beulah. And a couple of starts, lifetime starts over the track, only 1 third-place finish. But most recently has been over at Thistledown, Mountaineer. Prior to that was at Beulah for an okay 4th place finish in a 4,000 maiden. But I think the last couple of starts maybe got a little class challenge and ran an okay 2nd and okay 3rd. Returning to Beulah now may find this group today a little bit easier than the last couple of times out of town. So Tune the Cello in the top spot, go out to the number 9, All Alpha. Last 2 buyer figures, I think, fit with this bunch decently. Those 2 are since arriving at Beulah from Indiana and Ellis. So again, I think this horse has found a little bit of a home at Beulah and should be up competitive in the mix today. And then the number 1, Holden Up. Again, you have that 32% trainer in here, 32% jock, 26% trainer. The numbers maybe a little bit light, but did just missed in a 2,500 maiden last time with this jockey on board. 8-5 on the morning line. So we're looking at the morning line favorite. But I think this horse probably, as I say, the number's just a little bit lighter than I'd like to see and what I expect to get from my top 2. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shot against this horse. But off the last couple of starts, Holding Up. And again, with that high percentage jock on board, certainly one you have to pay attention to. 2, 9, 1, and 4.
On to the 3rd race. We're going to have 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and mares. Claimers in for 2,500. Non-winners to 2 races in a lifetime. Dashing 5.5.
7, 5, 8, and 1. The number 7 is Coach's Choice. Just missed in a similar race last time. Had dropped down to this level, was finding some class relief last time, went off as the 3-2 favorite, and again, just missed, so I'll give this horse another shot in here today, should be logical. Number 5, Partly Cloudy underneath, 8-1 on the morning line, was just behind my top pick last time, so you have 5-2 on the top pick, that's going to float down, I'm virtually certain. And I would think, given the scenario that, again, this one was just behind the top pick last time, I think that 8-1 will float down too. But if the morning line odds maker is a little craftier than I am, and that 8-1 holds up, yeah, pay a little attention to Partly Cloudy. And I always give them at least the benefit of the doubt. As I say, I think it's going to float down, but let's see. And in the 3rd spot, we'll go out to the number 8, Indian Pepper. Just seems to be in some pretty good form right now. A couple of nice 2nd place finishes since arriving here at Beulah Park. Won a near miss last time out. So again, in some good form, should compete with these. In the 3rd, 7, 5, 8, and 1.
We have to get you back to Sam Houston to get
No,
your
that
skepticism
one, yeah,
up a little bit.
yeah.
4th race on the card, 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and mares allowance. Non-winners of 2 other than racing a mile 70.
Yeah, the 20-1, the
2.
one for fun at about 2-5. So yeah. 4th race today, I have a 3, 5, 7, and 6. The number 3, Aggressive Elegance. I'm just looking here. I think this horse, as compared to the rest of the field, most of the rest of the field, has a numbers edge, a buyer's edge, but is also getting some venue class relief. Has started at Beulah once before, but that was a little state-bred stakes race. I think this company is going to be easier than that day, but mainly has been running at Mountaineer, Thistledown. You go back far enough, you see Presque Isle back in the summertime. So again, I think this horse is finding some venue class relief and has numbers that stack up very, very well with this field. So Aggressive Elegance on top, Mama's Firecracker underneath. This one has buyers that are comparable with the top pick, but this one's been at Beulah. So again, on the venue class relief, I tilted slightly for Aggressive Elegance, but I think Mama's Firecracker is going to be right in there contending as well on the numbers. And then in the 3rd spot, we'll go with number 7, Mini Reward. This is another horse that's just in some pretty good form right now. Numbers seem a little light as compared to the top 2, but you can't ignore the fact that we go back, 3, 6, 7 races, hasn't missed an exacta in 7 races, has been in the exacta 50% of the time in its starts over the Beulah Park strip, so Mini Reward gets in the mix as well. In the 4th today, 3, 5, 7, and 6.
On to the 5th, we're staying with the Distaffers, 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and mares. Claimers in for 3,500. Non-winners of 3 races in 2013, racing the mile.
I have a 1, 2, and 7, and mentioned this just in the last race. I think this horse is getting some venue class relief. Mountaineer I would certainly rate above Beulah. Thistledown, maybe a slight edge, but not as much. But still, you go back to the summertime, you see Presque Isle prior to that last year, Fort Erie. So again, this horse just may be finding some venue class relief with the move to Beulah. Second spot, we will go to Madam Mistletoe, the number 2 horse. Just attract some attention off the latest number. The 42 buyer figure, I think, fits very, very nicely with this field and should put this horse right in a competitive position. Now, the race before that was only at 21. That was over at Fairmount. Fairmount, I would definitely consider just kind of on a lateral par with Beulah Park. So the 21, 2 starts back doesn't attract my attention. But then you go back 4 and 5 starts. You see those 40s are numbers that are not an aberration for this horse. So given the race last time, the number fired, I think Madam Mistletoe will be up in the mix. And then we'll go out to the number 7. Intimidating Woman. This is another one where I'm just going to toss the latest effort and go back to the races just prior, the 43 to 36, and then you go back 4 and 5 starts, 51 and 54 buyers over at Thistledown. The number last time looks like an aberration. Could be one of those situations where the horse is just going in the wrong direction. Also, it was a muddy sealed track that day, so that could have affected things. I'm going to look, though, for a rebound to the numbers we saw just prior to that last start, and if so, this horse is going to be up in the mix. In the 5th, 1, 2, and 7.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action from Beulah.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Alongside Seth Merrill, I'm Anthony Mormon. We're up to race number 6 at Beulah. Parks Racing has canceled this afternoon.
No, Parks.
Parks Racing is canceled this
Yeah, you
afternoon.
said Beulah.
Okay, we're at Beulah.
Yeah,
Parks is canceled. 3-year-olds and up, fillers and mares, claimers in for $3,500. Non-winners of 2 in 365 days, going 6.
9, 2, and 4. The number 9 is Valeri. This is just another one of those horses has a little bit of a buyer edge on this field, I think, particularly over the past couple of starts. Not only an edge, but improving numbers. 3 starts back, tossed in a little bit of a dud buyer over at Mountaineer, then moved over to Beulah. The buyer improved with a nice win. And then last time out, the buyer improved again with a decent second-place finish. So I think Valeri is going to be competitive in here today, moving forward nicely off the last couple of starts. Second spot, the number 2, Smooth Decision, finished just behind my top pick last time, has some nice early speed, and seems to be in some pretty good form right now. So the combination of all 3 of those, just behind the top pick, has some speed, seems to be in some good form, enough to put this one in the mix. And then in the third spot, Arzani, the number 4 horse, off of the latest number. Took a little bit of a autumn break from late September to mid-November. Came back and again ran a third place with a decent number. You go back in the past performances far enough, you can see some numbers that would certainly be competitive, and that if that last one off of the break shows that the form is moving in the right direction, Arzani could be interesting as well. So in the 6, 9, 2, and 4.
On to the 7th race, we have 3-year-olds and up. Claimers in for 4,000. Non-winners at 2 races in a lifetime, racing 5.5.
4, 9, 1, and 2. The number 4 is PJ's Jet, and I haven't mentioned Edgar Paul yet. If you're watching Beulah, you have to pay attention to him, certainly. I think this horse stands the chance to come right back after the light bulb moment last time. Broke the maiden in the 20th career start. How confident can I be? Not very, but it was a nice win. And again, with a number that says, maybe after 20 starts, this horse found the proper level, the light bulb turned on, Paul Carr on board. I think this one has the chance in this particular field to come right back. Second spot, Rappin' Hoot. I'm going to toss the latest. I think the starts just before that fit right with this bunch, and there was some trouble to start last time. So I think there was an excuse as the beaten favorite. I have to put this one in the mix. High percentage connections to boot, so I think Rappin' Hoot is going to be a contender today. And then Bogie Brook, the number 1 horse, also gets in the mix. Just seems to be in some decent form right now. Likes the Beulah Park strip, and 3rd place last time, a win right before that, a 2nd before that. So again, in some good form, likes the track. We'll toss that one in also. 7th today, 4, 9, 1, and 2.
8th race, 3-year-olds and up. Claimers in for 2,500. Non-winners at 2 races in a lifetime, going a mile 70.
3, 2, and 11 for me. The number 3 is Sinister Intent. Gets some venue class relief, some serious venue class relief. I mean, most recently, Turfway. Prior to that, a couple of Churchill. That is definitely a step in the down direction, moving over to Beulah. So Sinister Intent, that 8-1 is not going to hold up. Drachma in the 2nd spot. Got the venue class relief last time and was the beaten 9-5 favorite. Got a little education over the track. I'll expect with that education under its belt, Drachma to run decently. And out to the number 11, Joe, another one that moved to Beulah last time out, showed some good speed and just got caught to run 2nd. But with the education under the belt, should run well again today. In the closer today at Beulah, 3, 2, and 11.
And that wraps up our look from Beulah Park this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, on TV 12 Network. We did lose Parks, but let's take a look at our schedule for today.
The exciting Monday schedule.
Right. And remember, Finger Lakes is gone. Parks is gone today. No schedule? All right. Well, stay tuned to the network. We will get it up for you. Parks no longer. So Monticello will kick us off at 12:25, followed by the Meadows, Beulah, Turf Paradise, Remington Park, Western Fair, Dover, Northfield, Pompano, and Yonkers Raceway, ladies and gentlemen. Also, a quick note, if you go to capitalotb.com, you can forget the Seth column, well, for today at least, because Seth's selections on Capital OTB, the Handicappers Report today, was for Parks. Just going to show you the value of live television, ladies and gentlemen. But you will receive all of my selections from Turf Paradise, where we are not expecting a snow cancellation. Also, Capital Off-Track Betting, in about its 7th week now, has a new wagering platform, a state-of-the-art, where you can find us at capitalotbbet.com. If you should have any questions, please get a hold of us, whether viewer mail at capitalotb.com or via the phone number, which is 1-800-292-BETS, 1-800-292-2387. Up next, Seth, who do you have on Racing Across America?
Mike Penna, Horse Racing Radio Network. We'll take a look at some of the stakes action, talk a little bit more about shared belief, and then Pat Cummings from Trackus, but he was on one of those panels at the University of Arizona Symposium last week, so he's going to talk a little bit about his presentation. Also, we'll see if he hit some of the other panels and any just overall views on the symposium.
Tell him take it easy on airing out all those quality statistics, because I always say it's one of the few double-edged swords for the sport for me, because we've talked about where they still need to go, and it does. It betters the game. I mean, you can't put out a 1982 version of the daily racing form. That would be disingenuous at best. But you know, when you're a handicapper, the nature of pari-mutuel wagering is for you to have a kernel of information that other people don't have, and that's really what it's gone away from. There's still some out there, and I said to you last week when I asked the next time you're going to have him on, and I know you have your own agenda of questions, but he was talking about sabermetrics style stuff coming to horse racing, and those type of stats interest me very, very much. But as I've said, and Seth echoes the sentiment, could we at least get the timing down first? Let's worry about timing each individual to the hundredths of a second and then moving forward. Well, that wraps up the Handicappers Report. Up next, Racing Across America.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.